Hey guys, how's it going? I'm coming at you live from my job. I was having technical difficulties with my laptop, so I brought it to work and got tech support and got some help. But I wanted to do an intro for the most recent episode of my podcast. First of all, I want to thank you guys all for being so patient and being willing to just hang out and wait for me to get my shit together so I can get back on track. Some of you know that I've been through a lot of transition and change and grief and loss and all kinds of stuff and working through it. I'm doing really well, and I appreciate you checking in and just being patient and waiting for this thing to happen. So thank you so much. Without further ado, I cannot wait for you guys to watch this episode. It's going to be another 2-part series, and this is with my friend Lynnette, who just happened to be my mom's hospice nurse and was absolutely amazing. This woman has such a servant's heart, and her story is one of courage and one of, I want to make a difference in this life and I want to find what feeds my soul. I'm not going to tell any more about it. I just love her story. And so thank you guys. Make sure you follow me everywhere you can, subscribe, just find us and follow us. And thank you guys for your support. I'll see you soon. All right. I am so excited that you're here. This has been something that you and I talked about a few months ago or so. And I'm so excited. So thank you for joining me. So Miss Lynnette, and please remind me how to say, because see, we found out that I bought a car that belonged to you. Isn't that weird? Like
It
2
was
years.
crazy.
Yeah. A couple years-ish ago. I don't
Well,
even
it would have
remember.
been in 22.
That long ago? Holy
Yes,
cow. So I thought your last name was Bueller.
it was.
Okay, so I have you in my phone as the car lady, as Lynnette Bueller, like Ferris Bueller. Okay,
Yes.
so anyway, it's such a small world, and I only dealt with your daughter. I only talked to you via
hmm
text, right?
Yeah,
And
and then remember, we met you though in the parking lot at
that's
Flying
right.
J. That's where we did the
Oh
switcheroo.
my God, that's right. You know what? That time of my life was such a chaotic moment because that was
Welcome to the
Yeah,
team.
I know, right? So I have memory lapses, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. That's right. How weird.
hmm
And then I didn't recognize you when we
mm
got reconnected later. And so
hmm
we'll go into that. But anyway, where everybody's like, where are you guys going with this story, right?
I know.
Hey, this is my show. I'll do what I want. So welcome to the next chapter with Tiffany, Miss Lynnette. So thank you for joining me, and I'm so excited to finally get to chat with you. And there's so much here that I can't wait for you to talk about. There's so many things in your life that fascinate me as to where you were, which I didn't realize where you came from, and then where you are now. And that being said, I want you to kind of start us off in telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just roll right into it if you're okay with that.
That sounds great.
Okay.
I love it. It's my pleasure to be here. I have never done this. I have a little TikTok where I kind of say little things about my life, but in just a full story, this is my
Yeah.
first. So a little
Love.
bit about me. I'm 40. I always think I'm 38, but I'm not anymore because I think I'm like 48 now.
I'm 38 too.
Yeah, something happened. I don't know. And so I'm a hospice nurse, I'm a life coach. More importantly, I'm a mom and a wife, and I just am a lover of life.
And that's beautiful. I love that because you and I connected in one of the most emotional,
Mhm.
vulnerable, and raw moments in a person's life. And that's through, fortunately for us, you being my mom's hospice nurse. And
Yeah.
I want you to go back in time and tell us about, not only what brought you to being a hospice nurse, but for you to get to that point, you have quite a journey way before that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I want you to go back and tell me more, like where you grew up. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about you.
Okay. Okay. So good. Man, I say if anybody is ever blessed, like I just feel like that's me. Like growing up, I was born into a Mennonite home that my parents are Mennonite. On my dad's side, Mennonite from the beginning, I think. Blue bloods. I say I had all the right last names attached. And but then my mom, I'm going to call her a proselyte. Have you ever heard that word?
No.
Somebody who joins the faith from the outside.
Gotcha.
So like a Gentile to a Jew type of thing.
Gotcha.
So my mom, yeah, her family, the Mennonites set up a little mission in Phoenix in the 60s, I think it was, and my mom's family joined. And then my dad came to visit. They fell in love, ended up he moved to Phoenix, which is unusual. Usually a couple will move to wherever the guy is from.
Okay.
So grew up around my mom's family. Through that time, a lot of my mom's family left the church. So, and we still had a lot to do with them. That my mom's Hispanic, my dad Ukrainian. I know that was amazing when my dad told me that. I was like, really? That's where we come from? Okay. So very white and then Hispanic. And you know what? The best of both worlds. The best. I had the best cousins,
Mm.
and like the Hispanic culture, so family oriented, and I'm so glad I grew up in that environment. Oh, let me tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
My mom, thank God for her. She would leave us with my cousins, my uncles and aunts. Well, they went to members only meetings at the church. Well, they would introduce us to all kinds of things. We would watch TV. Man, we loved it. My aunt would sit there with her boyfriends and smoke weed.
Woo!
Yes.
Wow.
My cousin, well, this would have been in the 80s. He was what they called a transvestite. Did you ever hear that word?
Yes, of course. That's
Yeah,
what
that
they
was a
called them back in the day.
yes, he was a gay transvestite. He
Wow,
was
you
my
talk about a
favorite.
world opening up to you.
Yeah, so but that was what we grew up around too. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So we weren't like these little Mennonite kids that grow up where both families are just, that wasn't us. Okay. So we
Okay.
had some influence. My uncles and my cousins at family deals, they'd be out there drinking because they wouldn't bring it in the house because my nana was Mennonite too. And then they would pay us $1 to go inside and get them a plate of food. Yeah, but I feel like from that perspective, I had a view of both worlds. And then when I turned 13 in 1990, we moved to Mississippi, and there's a huge Mennonite community along we moved to the east side of Mississippi, northeast Mississippi. And so left all that kind of stuff, really delved into the whole Mennonite world. I mean,
Mm.
it was a whirlwind then. I had so much fun. My best friend had two older brothers who were already youth age. So let me see, I was 13. My friend was 13, but she had older brothers. Those guys would take us to youth deals, even though we were too young. And we would have so much fun at the Mennonite youth deals. And it's a good life.
Yeah.
It's a good life. Like if you're willing to color inside the lines and that's the kind of person you are, it's a good life. It's family oriented for the most part. People are not mean. I'm sure there's some out there. I don't know. I
Right.
just feel like the universe is always looking out for me. I didn't encounter them. I just had fun, had so much fun, had a great youth life. When I turned 18, I thought I wanted to be a CNA. So my parents let me go to California to live with a cousin for, what was it, 4 months. And I got my CNA license at a little Mennonite nursing home there. Came back to Mississippi, ended up falling in love, never did anything with my CNA license, and yeah, just fell in love, got married, and started to have babies. I was 19 when I got married. My ex was 21. Yeah. And then what I did, I just did little house jobs with my mom, bumped along, and had my first baby when I was 22. And my last baby, I think I was 28 when I had
Okay.
my last
And
baby.
you
I
have
had
how?
I had 3 babies, and then we adopted one.
Oh,
So I have 4 children
beautiful.
altogether, 3
Okay.
biologicals and 1 adopted. And
Okay.
it was a good life. It was a good life. In 26, yeah, my baby was 3 months old, my littlest. We moved to Uvalde, Texas, and moved there to do construction. Loved Texas because what I loved about it was that Mexican culture was so much like what I had grown up with my mom's family. So just
Okay.
the Mexican food and yeah, just the culture was lovely. Loved
Yeah.
it. Things
And
were rocky there for us in the church. My husband was incredibly, my ex-husband now, but he was incredibly successful in the building business. And I don't know if that was some of the animosity. And I think too, the fact that we weren't just dyed in the wool blue, like we colored outside the lines a little,
yeah. Well,
and
you
that
had been
just,
exposed to a lot of different things. Where
yes,
was that
for sure.
community? That community in Texas, was it more just kind of like you said within the lines and
Hmm.
very kind of rigid where you had been exposed to
Yes.
more
So a
real
lot of,
life?
yes. When we left Phoenix, we kind of left that outside influence. When we got to Mississippi, it was all Mennonite. That was it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We just
Yeah.
very saturated with Mennonite life. Anyway, so Texas, yeah, it was rough spiritually. I didn't understand some of the things that happened there okay, so the preachers, the deacons, we call it the staff. So when I say the staff, that's who I'm talking about.
Okay.
So there was some sort of animosity between us and the staff, and I don't know why. I don't know why.
Because
I
you
don't
had
know
been
why.
you probably had, I bet you, this is my observation, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but my mind is going 100 miles an hour when you're talking. I would think that they could tell and judge somebody that's been influenced a little more worldly. You probably carried energy in a different way that it was visible to the rigid, to the
Mm-hmm.
this. I bet you, because that would be, plus you're an outsider, you're coming in.
Mm.
I mean, that's what I instantly thought of was before you even finished. I'm like, oh, I bet they judged her.
I bet I know.
She's an
And
outsider.
I think there was something to that, something about that energy part. I love the thought of that.
I
I
guarantee
remember
you.
one time this big famous Mennonite preacher came to Uvalde to give a talk, and I knew his daughter even though she was years older than me. So I just wanted to get to know him and went and chatted away with him. And so he was sitting by a deacon. And oh man, we just had the best conversation. And I remember this preacher turned to that old deacon. He's like, she could just about preach, couldn't she? And I was like, oh, it felt like
Oh,
such a compliment.
I
Like
bet.
I felt like he appreciated the way I articulated myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Have you found that women, I'm going to plug this in real quick because I forgot to. Have you found that dyed in the wool, straight up, 100% raised rigidly Mennonite women don't have that kind of worldly energy? I think that
Mm-hmm.
gives us more confidence as well when you have more life
Mm-hmm.
experiences, more exposure to reality, more like, wow, that's cool. But then you chose to come back into the fold
Mm.
and go straight up Mennonite. Do you think that is something that is very palatable if they put you in a room up against a diehard raised straight up? You could tell the difference. You think
I
so?
believe so. Because you could tell
Yeah,
with my mom. My
because she
mom
was a
had the same
convert.
energy. Like
Mm,
she didn't grow up Mennonite, and she's just, I mean, people are so drawn to her. Just
mm. There
loved to
you
be her
go.
friend.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was rough. it really was rough for a few years in Uvalde. There were things even between my ex and I that were rough. And, I remember one time we were making phenomenal money, like crazy good money in the building business. And I remember my mom, I don't know, I was complaining about life, I think a little. And she's like, why are you complaining? You have it so good. And I'm like, Mom, there are things in life that when you have money, you realize that there's other issues that it would be easier to deal with the lack of money than to deal with some of the things that we're dealing with.
Wow. Like
And it
take
was
it all.
rough. Yeah. Yeah. You can always go make money. But sometimes when relationships are hard, you know what I mean when I say, but you can't control the other person
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
relationship. And that makes it really hard. So
Yeah.
I left Uvalde in 2013. We moved here in January of 2013. And man, I'll tell you what,
Here, Idaho, here.
here, Idaho.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we moved here to Idaho in 2013. And how that happened was a friend, we had went to a family reunion together, and one of the cousins sat down across from us, and he had just moved to Ontario. And he's like, I love it. You guys should come check it out. It's great. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, we moved here in 2020. But so I want to talk a little more about growing up. Like, growing up was beautiful, beautiful. Like, my parents loved each other. They rarely argued. I think just enough to show us that you could be fussy with each other. My dad, so gentle, so kind. Like, my dad drove truck, and he would come home in the evening. We would have dinner, and he would lay down in the living room on the floor with us and read to us, because we didn't have TV, we didn't have radio. Mennonites very my dad comes from a very studious family, so he read and read and read to us. And my parents were social. We had company all the time. They loved people, and people loved them. So as far as a childhood, I had a beautiful childhood. It was me and my
That's a
two sisters.
gift.
I was the oldest. And I wanted to give that to my children, you know, just
Yeah.
that very sweet. Yeah. Anyways,
Loving. No, that's
yes,
beautiful.
yes,
So,
loving.
speaking of your children, how old were your kids and they were being raised within the Mennonite church?
Hmm.
So they had the little dresses and they had the
Uh-huh.
little what do you call that
Head
thing?
covering, the head
That's just a
covering.
head covering. It's nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy.
I was waiting for some like it's a blah blah blah. I was waiting for something really cool.
No, no,
No.
just your head covering.
Okay.
So, and then usually how that works, like, I'll give you a little glimpse into Mennonite life. So,
Thank you.
the way the Mennonites believe is that a child is born innocent, and is innocent up until the time when God calls them. And that is up to God. Man has no control over that. And they say usually how a child will know is they begin to realize that, oh, like, telling a lie is wrong, and I shouldn't tell a lie, like things like that. And so, even though a child will understand that, oh, this is right and this is right or wrong, it's not necessarily that God will call them until they have maybe a fuller understanding. So that's often 12, 13, 14, 15. So I feel like God called me when I was 12 years old. And how that worked was, she's like, what's going on here?
Hi, poo poo.
Okay, Ivy. Yes, I love you too. We call it a conversion experience or born again. Okay, so how mine worked was, there were some things I knew I had done that were not nice, and they were very vanilla things. I'm sure I can't even tell you what they were. But I was just tormented with this thought that the world was going to end and I was not going to be saved. And so I went to my mom and dad's bedroom one night, and I'm like, I just feel like if Jesus came, I would be lost. And okay, well, do you want
Wow.
us to pray with you? And yes, I do. So I remember that me and my mom and dad, we all knelt down there at my mom and dad's bed and they prayed. And oh, I was just so free and happy after that. Like the next day, just like that burden had rolled away. I knew that if Jesus came back, I was going to be saved. I was okay. Um, so then it took about a year after that before I was baptized. So I was baptized when I was 13 years old. And
Wow.
that's when, once you're baptized, the girls put on their head covering.
Oh, that's when it
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if somebody is wearing a head covering, you know that they have been baptized. That's how
Okay.
the Holdeman Mennonites, that's the denomination I was born into, Holdeman
Okay.
Mennonite. And that's how they do it. We wore the black cap, the girls wear the dresses.
Black cap?
Black. Yes. So you'll see
Wow.
like around Payette, you see some of the Mennonites, but they're wearing the white cap.
Yes.
We call them white caps. I don't know what they are.
Interesting.
White cap. We call them white cap Mennonites. And I think they
Yeah.
call themselves white cap Mennonites. I don't know. Anyway, we're Holdeman. We were Holdemans and we wore a black cap.
Okay, that makes me go, okay, so if you know, what are the differences besides the names and the
That's
colors?
a that's a really hard one for me to say because I don't know if the white caps do the whole born again experience or if they do more like a what is it called with the Catholics where they do like a little booklet.
I don't know. Like I just know of christening. I don't know what it's
No,
called.
no.
I am definitely not a Catholic.
I think with the
Catechism?
catechism, is that what it is?
I don't know. I just
Where
remember
they
I had
do
some.
more like a Bible study and then I
Yeah.
think, I know that some of the white caps believe like that, where they
Okay.
don't have to have this born again experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I did not. I don't know if I've ever seen one with a black. I'm sure I have, but oh,
I'm
like
sure
you
you
said,
have. You
yeah.
have. You just haven't recognized it.
Okay. Didn't
Now that I
realize the
say it, you'll probably
differences.
be like, when you see a black cap, you'll be like, oh, that's what Lynnette was talking about.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
Holdeman. Yay.
Yes,
Yeah.
a hold of it.
You know, that is I was just gonna say real quick, I don't know if you in with being raised that way, you guys, of course, everybody mostly knows how to sew and how to
Hmm.
make things and all that. The Treasure Valley before, especially around Payette, where all of a sudden I see a Mennonite woman down an aisle with the most beautiful dress on that is obviously handmade. It's
Hmm.
a gorgeous dress. And I will go up and I will say, I'm sorry, excuse me, ma'am, did you make that? And like, oh, yes, I did. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. I mean, wow. And that, I wish that more conservative, old school, disconnected kind of life was more how we are today. I wish
Mm.
so because those skills, those
Hmm.
things, that type of culture they have and they've honed and they grew up with, and that's just the way it is. We today, society, most of the people don't have an inkling of what it's like to have any type of
Hmm.
talent to build, to
Hmm.
make things still, to churn butter, to do whatever, to slaughter their own animals, to do whatever they do. Nobody,
Hmm.
it's like a lot, not nobody, but a lot of people in today's society, especially the younger generation, couldn't couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag, let alone make something.
Hmm.
Seriously. So that something that's that a skill that you have?
Yes, definitely. Sewed, man, I was sewing my own dresses when I was 12 years old. I loved it. I loved
That's
the
so cool.
creative part of it. It was so much fun to take patterns and pick fabric and all that stuff, even though it's just the conservative dresses, but still
Yes,
fun to do, you know?
absolutely. I mean, something that is an absolute skill, and to say I made this.
Yeah.
I mean, at that age,
Yes.
that's beautiful. Anyway, I
Yeah,
just
it was fun. It was fun. I canned. I never churned
yes,
butter. I got to be honest. We had electricity. It was interesting
okay.
because, like, electricity, cars, really the women don't have jobs outside of the home. I mean, that's kind of their job. Let me see.
I know I was thinking that about arranged marriages, things like that. I
Oh,
had
yeah.
thought about that and asked. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, no, marriages are not arranged. So I'll tell you what my experience was. Okay.
Okay.
I met my ex-husband at volleyball games because I lived in the congregation just south of where he lived. So we were about 20 miles apart. So the congregations, the youth, very social, very social. They would get together on Friday nights to play volleyball together. That's a big Mennonite sport, or baseball, either one, and have supper together and just, you know, socialize.
Yeah.
So that's how I met him. And, it was just kind of a deal where we just talked back and forth. And yeah, there was a mutual respect there and we enjoyed each other's company. So then when he went to propose for me, this is very standard that, or how it used to be. So he went to his preacher and said, "Hey, I would like to take a proposal to Lynnette." And so then his preacher goes to my preacher, and my preacher comes to my parents and to myself and says, "Hey, we have a proposal from this young man, and what do you think?" And it's a discussion with the preacher and my parents and myself, and we knew it was coming. I mean, it's not like a big old secret like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he proposed." We knew it was coming. So, and me and my mom, we had talked about it and stuff like that. In fact, that's a little funny story because I remember one Sunday night, right before this happened, one Sunday night, I'm outside of church with the rest of the youth, and I see the preacher go to my dad, and I'm like, "Oh, bummer, am I in trouble?"
Yeah. That's
And
it.
so,
Yep.
am I in trouble? So, anyway, and then my dad just turned abruptly and went to the car and didn't say anything. But my mom, all week, my mom's like, "Hey, Lynette, like, hypothetically speaking, if you were to get a proposal, like, wow, she wanted to talk about wedding stuff." I'm like, "Oh, mom's like, oh, come on." Well, then later in the week, all of a sudden the phone rings and I answered it. It happened to be the preacher. And he's like, "Hey, Lynette, we'd like to come over and visit with you and your parents." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, then I find out later the preacher had gone to my dad because they're cousins and was like, "Hey, Bill, we have a proposal. We'd love to come to sit down and chat. Would it work for us just to come over now after church?" And my dad's like, "No, I got to go home and go to bed because I got to get up in the morning and go to work." So that's why my dad just turned around and beat it for the vehicle. He didn't want to hear nothing about this.
I'm not ready. Yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So anyway, I was his oldest, first one to get married. But
Oh,
generally, that's how it works. Okay, and then
wow.
the weddings are usually 2 to 3 months out from the time you get the proposal, and our wedding was over 500 people. Yeah, it was big. And you provide, well, the groom's family provides supper for the Saturday night before the wedding, and then the bride's family provides the meal, the wedding meal. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was
So it's a
crazy.
party. And
Yeah.
does that mean that it's that big because of the Mennonite traditions, or you guys knew everybody?
We did not know everybody. In fact, I remember, so they held a separate youth deal for all the youth to go have dinner at another place. And so after we were done with the family dinner, we went over there and we walk in, there's 250 youth kids there. And he's like, "You know these people?" I'm like, "No, do you?" So like I said again, it's social. So the kids are all like, "Hey, I'm going to this wedding this weekend. You want to ride along?" That kind of thing.
Like, who's getting married? Hell if I know. We're just
I
going to a
don't
party.
know. Let's
It's gonna be
go.
a party.
Yes. Volleyball, free
Free
food.
food.
You will stay with somebody at the wedding. It'll be a great. I did plenty of that in my youth and loved it. Met
Oh my
so many
gosh.
great friends
I
that way.
bet. I had
Yeah,
no idea that they were so social.
it's
I
very social. Very.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. A big party. Okay, so that
Yeah.
being said, it's not the traditional wedding dress and all that.
No, no.
Okay.
So I had a lovely pale, pale pink wedding dress. It had just kind of little old fashioned, had a little collar, pointed collar, and then these little tiny buttons that were real close together. They were covered buttons, same fabric. Yeah, it was just, and
Just
yeah, just a regular Mennonite dress. Only,
and
no,
what
back in the day, we didn't wear white. We had to wear a little off color, but I've heard now, like maybe it's leaning more towards the whitish or maybe more creamish colors. And I don't know why, but yeah, that was
interesting.
just kind of a little rule.
What do the men wear?
They wear a suit, just a
Oh,
suit,
just a
not
suit.
a
Okay.
tux. No, just a suit.
Yeah.
And then
Not
how
the
that works then too, like, so we have a little choir that will sing a set of songs, and it's the singing is beautiful. Like, I miss the singing. It's a
uh,
cappella. We don't have instruments. And yeah, and then
talent.
little sermon and some the wedding vows and a little more singing, and everybody goes down for the milk.
Wow. But
Yes.
how fun though, because what happens nowadays, it's all like overblown, over budget, over expensive,
Yeah.
overkill, competition, fighting. I don't want this person there. I don't want this person there. It sounds
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful yet simple. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a fun, everybody participates, whether you know each other or not. It's a big party to
Right.
celebrate the union
Right.
and have
Yes.
fun. I could see how that would
So
be.
so much fun.
Yeah.
And that's how kids meet each other and form relationships and more
Yeah.
weddings happen?
Okay,
Yeah,
that being said, relationships, what is the view on premarital sex? I have to ask.
absolutely no go. Zero.
Double goose eggs, right?
No, double,
I could have
triple.
guessed I could have guessed that. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Okay, the expectations of a young woman within the Mennonite community. So you mentioned how when it is their, what did you call it? Not calling. What did you call it when they're like, okay, it's time for she had this realization. She realized this is optimal behavior, or like you started asking
Hmm.
questions about my fear of not getting to heaven. This is time for you to become baptized. So the difference between pre-baptismal Lynnette and post-baptized Lynnette is the expectations. Are they different? What changed for you from that moment on when you were baptized?
Expectations. That's interesting. I wonder if I would say, okay, so then once you're baptized, I started to wear the head covering. So the expectation is to act in a way that respects the church.
Mm, got
The
it.
dress shows submission to God and the church. I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because that is a heavy thing to step into. There's responsibility that goes along with
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't have before because you were a young girl, and then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you get baptized and it's a whole different responsibility.
Right.
But also, I can see how that may feel to step into a different role of, well, now that that's open, then it's my responsibility not only to behave a certain way, respect the church, the head covering, represent, but
Mm-hmm.
then now I need to start educating myself a little more because I have taken on this responsibility. I'm baptized. That puts me into a position where I need to seek a little bit more, and or maybe your parents.
So we always had Bible study growing up. Then we always had Sunday school devotions, we called it family devotions. We
Mm,
would always have family devotions where my dad would read to us in the evening from the Bible, and then we would have a family prayer together before we all went to bed.
mm, I love that.
And then, suddenly okay, which I wore a dress my whole life until I wore the head covering anyways, but like once you wear the head covering, oh, I mean, you're easily identified. People know where you belong more than likely, and if you're doing things you should or shouldn't be doing. So,
Yeah, yeah. You're not going to see a Mennonite, smoking a cigarette on the
no,
corner with a bunch of hoodlum teenagers.
no, exactly. And if you do, come tell me because I want to know.
Yeah, we'll be sitting there going, "Can you see that?
You did
Look
that?
at that!
Uh,
I got it
yeah.
on video. Check it out." Yeah, that would be really weird.
So honoring the head covering. They believe like that it represents the power. This is what we were always told, the power of the angels over us, and that was a certain protection,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, that's heavy in a way that, again, that word responsibility keeps popping into my head
Mm-hmm.
because of what you stepped into. It's like, okay, now you are expected to live a certain way, think a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
read certain things, absorb certain things, speak a certain way. All these things are an expectation that
Mm-hmm.
is brought upon you not only by the staff, elders,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and your parents, but also if you're serious about it, it's all brought upon by you yourself at the same
Right.
time. Like, I take this very seriously. I'm going to represent in the right way because it's my responsibility. I could see how that would be very heavy, but yet when you're proud of that, it's not heavy
Mm-hmm.
burden wise. It's just heavy as in I take this seriously and I pack it all
Mm-hmm.
the time. It's how I roll. You definitely are a minority in certain areas because they're mostly, aren't they mostly into farming and construction?
Most it's getting diverse now, but yes, it
Okay.
used to mostly be that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that was your background when you were talking about you and your husband in the first stages
Mm-hmm.
of your life, was he was a builder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
And then we moved here to farm.
okay, that's what I was thinking, that you went into farming. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because, well, growing up in Mississippi, it's dry land farming. So they would put their crops in the spring and take them out in the fall. And then in the summer and the winter, his dad, my father in law, had been a builder in California. So then they would usually get a little building project going for the summer and the winter there in
Mm,
Mississippi. So they were busy, just always
yeah.
doing something.
So tell me, let's fast forward. We talked a little bit about your kids being raised in
Hmm.
that. You're living in Idaho. You guys are farming. And when did you realize I'm done with this? I mean, tell
Hmm.
me a little bit about all of that in progression.
Okay, so let me see, we moved in 2013 and bumped along farming. It was terrible. I mean, it was a learning curve, this farming,
Oh.
and it just felt like every year we just dug ourselves deeper into a financial hole.
Mm,
And I think it was 2017, an onion shed, we contracted our onions with them. They took all the onions, paid us our first check, and then filed bankruptcy. So we lost hundreds of thousands on that.
my gosh.
Yes. And then there was another situation with another crop. We had contracted in the spring, we had contracted our grain with a company, and they ended up filing bankruptcy. So we lost that contract. And so all of a sudden, when we lose that contract and come back and like, okay, we got to recontract grain had taken a nosedive from what we had contracted it at. So we lost so much money that year, so much money, so much so that the bank's like, okay, you're going to have to put your place on the market. Girl, that was so hard. I mean, the
Yeah.
day the realtor had come to take pictures of the house, I just like tried to stay out of her way while she took pictures, and I had the house so clean and ready for her. But man, I was like crying in my
I
sleeve. I
bet.
didn't want to cry in front of her, but
Mm,
just like it was so hard to know that this was happening. Anyway, interestingly enough, though, I had this little inner voice and it just told me this house is not going to sell. You're going to stay here. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how.
right.
I don't
Miracle.
know. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a miracle. Anyways, so put our house on the market. And then I'm like, by that time, okay, so my kids, they helped their dad on the farm mostly. The girls, they went and worked at a little greenhouse too. My youngest was still in school, but my three older ones, they were doing their thing. And I found myself with so much time on my hands that I was bored. Like, I sewed our clothes and did our laundry and made 3 meals a day and took care of my little garden, but it was like I needed more. I needed
Mm,
more. We were facing this financial crisis, So I got the girls and I some little volunteer gigs. We went and volunteered for Heart and Home Hospice. We would go there every Tuesday and put together bouquets for
Mm.
the hospice patients. And then we would also go once a month to the Ronald McDonald House in downtown Boise, and we would make treats for
Oh,
the people staying there. And I loved it. I loved it. And I loved the
service.
whole volunteer thing over at
Mm.
Heart and Home. And I was like, man, I would love to be a hospice nurse. Anyway, so I go to my ex and I'm like, hey, like I need more purpose. Like, what do you think if I would try to go to school to be an RN? He's like, I don't care. Like, just go push on doors, see what happens. I'm like, okay. So I did. I mean, hilarious. The other day I came across my card, my student ID card that I got, went and sat down with a student advisor. And I remember her saying, this was in 2018. She's like, okay, this is the plan for you to get your RN license, and it's going to be 4 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 4 years. Except I'm sure I didn't say gosh in my little Mennonite brain. I probably said, oh my goodness.
Jeez.
Oh
Gee
dear, this is going to be a long
whiz.
time. I mean, 4 years. Okay, well, they're going to pass, so whether I do this or not. So, yeah,
Exactly.
what does this take to get me started? And our financials were so bad from the farm that, like, I got 100% government funding for my schooling. So, started
Awesome.
to go to school. And gosh, I loved it. Oh
That's
my
great.
goodness, Tiffany, like just learning, it was so much fun. And, you know, I was often the oldest one in all the classes and a little
And
Mennonite lady to boot.
yes, and an overachiever, I'm sure, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You had a point to prove, right? You were
Yes,
there
I
on a
really
mission.
did. And I
Yeah.
had so much fun. I loved it. I loved it. I had one professor, he's like, I had him in three different math classes because, man, I had to start. Thank God, when I had turned 16, I had gone and gotten my GED because
Mm,
then I just had to take a placement test to get signed up for courses.
mm.
But I started like, I mean, I went to eighth grade. I left school when I was 13 years old.
Oh,
I hadn't
wow.
added fractions since the day I left,
Oh, wow.
So yes, I have to get back into the whole swing. So like I started it felt like ground zero. I think there was one math class below the one I had to start at. But it was just
Wow.
like figuring it out again. So one of the math teachers, I think I'd had him there at the little Treasure Valley Community College in Ontario, three
Hmm.
different classes. And he's like, Lynnette, you just make every class you're in smarter. He's like, honestly, he said the whole class scores better when you're in it, just
Oh,
because you are not afraid to ask questions. And I
there
was
you
like,
go.
oh my gosh, thank you. I mean, I felt very
That's
honored to have
beautiful.
him tell me that. Anyway, so all in that, I had to take electives and I chose religious electives. I don't know, like, what was I thinking? Was this like my heart crying out for something, or was it like me trying to play it safe and be like, I know
Mm.
I'm kind of bending the rules by going to college, so I'm going to be play it safe. I'm going to take religious courses. And why I say bending the rules is because, well, I found this out the hard way, but so I guess you're supposed to go to the staff when you want to seek higher education. They will discuss it amongst themselves and decide if you have the approval to go or not. I didn't do that.
Well, golly gee.
I
You
know.
know, you may not have been approved, you know.
You're
You
very
may
you're very
yeah.
right. I don't think I would
So,
have been. I
well,
don't think that I would have been. So
that's
I had just kind
crazy.
of slid under the radar and did my own thing. And probably the reason I did that is because we were going to Ontario Congregation, which was a new congregation. So it wasn't an old established congregation. This is still a new baby congregation. Maybe I didn't feel a heavy sense of responsibility to the man who's our
Mm,
preacher or something. I don't know.
right. Yeah.
Anyway, I learned a word. I learned a word at college. I had never heard this word before. This little word, it was autonomy. And I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
What's autonomy? And they're like, what? That's you have control over your own life. And I'm like, I do? What?
Yeah.
You have control over the decisions you make for your life. And I'm like, I never knew that.
Wow.
I never knew that I could make decisions for myself. I can make choices for my life on like a life-changing scale. That I could decide who I wanted to be. And then I started taking those little religious courses. I took American religion. I took primal religions. That one was super interesting. I took world religions. It talks about like Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, all the different religions were in this book, and it was great. I loved that one too. In taking these courses, though, I began, like, my mind just started opening up to different ideas. And I remember in one book, it said, I believe this was in the World Religions book, God's light shines through each of us like sunlight through a stained glass window, and each piece is cut and colored differently. And I'm like, yeah, yes. Then why are they trying to force me to be the same? Why are they trying to force us all to be the same? If we're, in actuality, we're different.
Wow.
And we had no, like, yes, I mean, you can pick your own fabric and whatnot, but there's not a lot of ways for Mennonite women to express individuality, you know?
You're not supposed to.
No. And
Right.
then there was, it was in the primal religions. Oh my goodness, girl, that stuff was crazy. It was creation stories from other groups, like indigenous people around the world, and what they believed about creation. And some of them were wild. And I was like, this is crazy stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, how could you believe this? And then I'm like, okay, wait, let me think about my own creation story. I mean, there's this God, there's this devil, the world's created in 6 days. And I know it's all like, I don't know how literal we should take the Bible, but I started to see like the Bible from a different perspective. Like, what if I just placed it alongside these other stories, and how would it compare? Somebody else would be like, he created man and woman out of what? The dust, the dirt, he flew in that, what? Like,
Yeah.
my goodness. Anyway, so just starting to step back and take an objective view of everything I had been taught. And you're not allowed to do that.
I can't imagine. That's why you need to take your ideas of going to college to somebody that's above you, because that's going to cause you to start thinking and
Yes,
questioning. So I
yes,
could totally see why they want you to do that, because
yes.
you never would have made it to the where you were. You
Never,
wouldn't have.
never.
No.
In fact, let me tell you a little story of something that happened. So, we're going through this financial difficulty. And so, you know how when you're going through something hard, people are like, oh, just have faith, it's going to work out. Just have faith. And you're like, I'm like, okay, okay, what is faith? Tell me. So, we're in turmoil. And so I tell my ex-husband, I'm like, why don't you, I really would like to talk to the preacher about this. Like, I'm just having a faith crisis. Like, yeah, we're just supposed to have faith, but this is hard. This is financial. Our farm, we could lose our farm. I don't know where I might be living in 6 months. And people are just like, just have faith, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So he set it up. We went to the preacher's house, sat down with them. And so the preacher's like, you have some questions, Lynnette? And I'm like, yeah, I just want to know, what is faith? It was, honestly, Tiffany, my whole premise for this discussion was, what is faith when I am faced with the fact that I might not know where I'm living in 6 months?
Right. Yeah.
With this financial disaster, what is faith? That's where I need. However, they didn't take it that way. And so I get all this, it goes around the little grapevine. So this preacher, he calls my preacher in West Point, the one who brought me my proposal, my dad's cousin, talks to him. Oh, Lynette's questioning her faith. Like,
Ay, ay, ay.
we're gonna have to ask her to quit school. Yeah, she's
Oh,
questioning her faith. It had nothing to do with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's how you know how closed off their thought processes are, because it's all about the religious side of things
Mm-hmm.
and not just the life, and
Mm.
questioning the real life crisis that you guys were going
Right.
through. How sad.
Very sad. Very. So I could still, I see myself sitting at that kitchen table. I had my school books put out in front of me, and my aunt messages me and she's like, "Oh, you know what I just heard? That they're going to ask you to quit school because you're questioning your faith." And I remember I was sitting there, I'm like, the hell they are, because I know a little word. It's called autonomy, and ain't nobody tell me shit now. I will tell myself what I am doing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was rough. That was rough. And another thing that happened is we would often have people, we would socialize with our friends on the weekends. My ex-husband, he's like, "Hey, like I would like you not to discuss what you're learning at school when we're with our friends. Like it just makes everybody uncomfortable." Like, Tiffany, that was my whole life.
Well, the
That's my whole
light came
life.
on. You
Holy
were like,
moly, I know.
bam. And how
Yes,
could you not talk about it?
yes, I was learning so many things. I was studying amazing concepts and just, and then he's like, "Don't talk about it."
Wow. So everywhere
Hmm.
you looked, somebody's pushing you down, pushing you down.
Yes.
Shush, be
Yes.
quiet, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Yeah,
Yes.
there's no autonomy in that.
None. None. It's
None.
like
And that's,
whack-a-mole, It's like every time I tried to pop up there, boom, boom. Nope, you're not going to say that, and you're not going to do
nope,
that.
you're not going to have an
Yeah.
original thought. You're not going to ask
No.
questions. See, that's sad. Don't question what the bishop says, the preacher says, the blah blah blah. I don't agree with that at all. So good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So it was rough, and I started to feel myself separating from my community. Yeah, and it made me so sad.
I
It
bet.
made me sad inside because I wasn't fitting into their box anymore.